Hello and welcome to Changing Eastenders. You know what? As a writer or storyteller, even on an amateur level like myself, when that light bulb goes off, it's a great moment. You get so excited. Sometimes other people are not as excited about the idea as you are, and that kind of brings you down a little bit. I suppose I'm an arrogant sod and it doesn't bring me down, but I mean, many storytellers will tell you that moment you get that idea. And obviously, Stacey's very much involved in my Eastenders fiction Black Widow, and yesterday's video I was talking about bringing Michelle Ryan back as Zoe Slater, and I was kind of thinking about love interest for Stacey, love interest for Zoe, and when I think about love stories and love interests, and my eyes glaze over and I get very disinterested, even when I'm watching as a viewer, as a fan. And not just EastEnders, a movie or a TV show. The love thing, the couple thing bores the hell out of me. Most probably because I'm single, and I've been single for such a long time now. But we don't want to talk about my status, my single status. That's boring. So what I've come up with is this, is that Zoe and Stacey, cousins as they are, fall in love. That sounds insane, doesn't it? Two characters that have always been straight, that are cousins, falling in love. Well, if you remember when they were both in the show together, they didn't like each other very much, did they? I think in the end they kind of made their peace. Just the beginning. I believe I can make a viable love story. I want to make this, that every story, even every great show, every great story has a main pivotal love story. Star Wars, you've got Han and Leia. Even Neighbours, you had Scott and Charlene, didn't you? And if you go through the soaps, I could name them all for you, but we're not going to waste time because we've only got like 8 minutes of this video left. Lucky you. But so that's my idea. Now, every time I've talked about saying if I was running EastEnders, the first thing I would do is bring Michelle Ryan back. Now, people that kind of know of her, and you don't need to know her. Publicly, she's always come out and said she won't come back to EastEnders. That part of her life is over. But I believe, because as I said, I'm an arrogant sod, I believe if I was running EastEnders, I could tempt Michelle back. Now, this love story, which I've been writing this morning, because I've only just thought of it, is really developing. It's really exciting, and I'm going to put some spoilers on my Facebook page, I want to run EastEnders, in the next few days, so look out for that, and please click like. 10 likes so far. Don't sound a lot, but 2 weeks ago I barely had 2, so we're getting there, it's working. People are starting to get interested. That's not just the part. Since Zoe left Albert Square, she's been travelling the world. She's got a mentor. She's learned many forms of martial arts. And so she's a very different character. And so she returns to Albert Square in the middle of this crime war, these crime gangs taking over Walford. And she comes back and she can't believe that people that she used to admire have let this happen. So she begins to lead a resistance. And of course, Chrissy Watts and Zoe have got that great history of when they all covered up Den's murder. So there's a hatred there already, and there's a history between Zoe and Chrissy, and that will make things very, very interesting, and it gives me a leg up. When you've got character history as a writer, you don't have to make it up. It's there, and you could, in your mind, you see both actresses going on hammer and tongs, and it's really exciting. So she comes in. She's a breath of fresh air. But what also happens if we go back to the Zoe Stacey love story? She comes back to Walford at Stacey's lowest point. You know, Chrissy Watts has forced every pharmacist to refuse Stacey her bipolar meds. So she, psychologically and mentally, Stacey's in a really horrible position. And she's been doing some horrible things to herself, horrible things. She's driven a lot of people away. So there's bad enough it's a crime war. You know, Chrissy Watts has targeted her in the most cruel way, to do with her, you know, bipolar disorder. So when Zoe comes back, it's a really pivotal time, and Zoe really sits there with Stacey and helps her and finds a way to get her bipolar meds. And so Stacey begins to get better, and she obviously appreciates what Zoe's done, and slowly, There's an attraction in the heart. Now, I want to make this clear. This is not about, oh yeah, let's have a couple of hot lesbians in it. Yeah, yeah. It's not about that. This is not Game of Thrones. This is about the heart, not seeing two women constantly having sexual intercourse. This is... Let me explain something to you that you already know. We are not in 1942. We are in the 21st century. Now, we love putting labels on people. Gay, lesbian, homosexual, and other ones that are a lot more unkind. But I don't believe you have to be gay or bi to fall in love with someone of the same sex. I've known people to fall in love and to have crushes on someone from the same sex, but they've never ever gone with someone from the same sex again after that relationship. It's just been an unrequited love that's happened. So I don't think Stacey and Zoe are all of a sudden lesbians, but they've fallen for each other, and maybe there's always been feelings there. So this is something I'm going to be developing really slowly. I'm sure you're going to react to this. I'm sure you're going to say, a lot of you are going to say it's a lot of rubbish. I'm sure I'll get your support, from some people, because some of you are just awesome. But just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean you're not awesome. That's the whole point. That's the whole great thing about storytelling these days and writing. And talking to people that are interested in the subject matter, we get a great reaction. And we can decide, as writer and consumer, what's right and what's wrong. I do believe in this. I believe in my whole Crime War story, my whole Black Widow fiction. It's still my ambition to get in there, either as a consultant or showrunner of EastEnders, to change this show, to make it something it's never been before, but something really wholehearted and exciting. And on the Zoe subject, she will return with her mentor, which is actually another woman who's kind of smitten with Zoe. So that will make things a bit more complicated for Zoe and Stacey, because this mentor begins to, let's just say, put some irons in the fire. So even though she's this great mentor to Zoe, she's been great for Zoe, she's not exactly singing on the side of the angels, if you know what I mean. So that's what I'm working on right now. What normally happens, every morning I go for a walk, and these ideas just come in my insane head. It's really awesome for me to imagine this storyline. A love story, but a same-sex love story. That's the main love story of the saga. And a lot of people say, well, I would never embrace this. But our soaps are the ones that are always kind of flying the flag for same-sex relationships. This is going to be one with a bit of a difference. It isn't going to be neat. It's not going to be tidy. It's going to be controversial. But I want it to be from the heart. And I don't just want it to be dark or dramatic and them just going to each other, oh, we can never be together. Oh, yeah. They're going to be together. People are going to see them together. And sometimes they're going to have a laugh. But don't forget, they're in the middle of this crime war. You know, Walford is a very different place in my Black Widow fiction. So there'll be a mixture of emotions in this relationship. But in many ways, the Zoe and Stacey relationship for me will be the heart of the show, the heart of the story, the centrepiece. And I hope that people understand what I'm trying to do with this. And even though it's just a fiction, it is not from the real show, I think this will be a good emotional centre, because I'm not one who likes bringing back loads of old characters. I'd rather create brand new ones and create a new era, but you've got to have your Ians and your Sharons and your Phils. You've got to have them. That's the identity of the show. When you dramatically change a concept, like I'm planning on doing, you've got to have your Phils, your Sharons, and people, and your Ians, people like that. They're important. They remind us that it's still EastEnders. It's still that show that kicked off in 1985. All I've got time for. My 10 minutes are nearly up. Have a lovely day from Cyprus. See you later. Bye-bye.